Okay, welcome to episode 19 of the Sean McGuinness podcast. Thanks for all the feedback and comments so far. Last week's episode again was very popular, probably because it's so applicable to a lot of people, so hopefully you got a lot out of that. All these episodes up to now are to help you understand everything in regards to fat loss, health, nutrition in the simplest terms possible. So that will help you in your life, but also help stop stupid people getting rich, because as you know more, you're becoming a bit more self-sufficient with your fat loss and your health. You will call bullshit on people trying to sell you stuff because you understand the mechanisms of how we lose fat and training, etc. For example, you see vast amounts of idiots on Instagram trying to sell green tea, detox teas, you name it, and you may have listened to a few of my episodes and you go, do you know what? This person's wrong. I know to lose fat, it's about calories, then it's about, look at macros and all this other stuff. I know supplements is the last thing someone needs to worry about in regards to fat loss. So I'm not going to buy that drink. Whereas in the past, you may have bought it. So yes, that is the goal. Now, we've talked a lot about nutrition. Another thing that people can get a bit confused on, okay, and which people in that world may be getting rich or whatever in the training world because they're playing on your naivety in regards to fat loss and why we train and the way we should be training. So today we're going to touch on training in regards to fat loss. The fat loss obviously in essence is losing fat, but the second thing we're trying to do is maintain muscle. Okay, you probably heard me say this stuff a million times, but again, there might be one person that hasn't heard it, so I'm saying it for them. Maintain muscle, or even in some case grow a little bit muscle. And again, when I talk about muscle, stop thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. We are talking about like such small amounts, 2-3 kilos. Think of a 2 kilo dumbbell spread across your whole body. It's very minimal. But people will come in and they'll sign up to me online and say, Sean, I want to tone up. Okay, if we look at the word tone, which is what a lot of people want to do, it's in essence lose fat and maintain your muscle tone. When we lose fat, the muscle becomes more, we can see it better, and when we maintain that muscle, that gives our body better shape, that keeps the skin tight, and we look good naked basically. Versus we have lost a lot of weight coming from both fat and muscle, and then you do not have anything underneath the skin to be able to hold that tight. So again, your skin may be a bit saggier, especially in those more stubborn places that a lot of people struggle with, back of their arms, their thighs. If we can keep or build a bit of muscle in those areas and lose the fat around it, they're going to look visually better, which is the goal. We've said before why we need protein in regards to maintaining muscle. If you didn't hear that, go back and listen to the previous episodes. But the second main thing we need to do is to weight train. We need to give our body stimulus, or we need to give our body a stress that it's going to adapt to, and it's going to maintain that muscle. Because if you look at kind of survival, especially if we're in a diet, muscle is probably down the list of things that our body needs to survive. It's not necessary. So we need to make sure to force it to hold on to that muscle. We need to, we're trying to tell it, look, this fella goes to the gym a few days a week and he places a large amount of stress on our muscles. And if our muscles do not grow and adapt or repair in a way, well, we're going to get injured. Okay, if we keep chest pressing heavy, which is all relative, or whatever, and our legs, we're squatting, we're deadlifting, if we do not repair properly and grow this muscle, well, our body might get injured. So we're forcing it to adapt. So weight training, which we touched on, will be the basis of a weight loss and fat loss plan. Okay, listen to that again. Weight training will be the basis of your fat loss plan, because that is the mechanism that will maintain that muscle. Now, when we think of weight training, we need to differentiate it in regards a few different forms of training which are out there. So let's look at the ones that are out there. There's kind of circuit training, which will use some kind of weights. We have functional training. Okay, that is a whole nother episode in itself, the word functional. But we have all these kind of different circuit classes which are popular. We may have pump classes. Classes where you're using some kind of resistance in. Okay, are the more popular ones. However, there is a bit of differentiation between the most optimal type of training for fat loss and muscle retention. This kind of training will probably be more like a typical bodybuilder type training. Okay, now don't let me scare you off with the word bodybuilder. What I'm trying to say is you will go into a gym, or you may not need to have a gym at your house, and instead of doing cardio and weights mixed together, which is what these circuit classes are, we are going to purely do like weight training itself, especially for the majority of that workout. So we may warm up 5-10 minutes, some mobility work, some flexibility work. But 35 to 40 minutes, again depending on how advanced you are, of that workout will be strictly weight training in regards working in that, let's say 8 to 12 traditionally rep range. Okay, you'll do a set, you might take a minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes rest, you'll go again. Okay, the problem people struggle with this type of training is because they think they're not working hard enough, especially at the start when we may not be lifting a lot of weight. So one of the biggest things I'll have, and again, excuse me for it's going to be a lot of tangents within this, but hopefully I'll wrap it up at the end. When I put someone on like a normal weight training program, one of the big things I have is they feel they're not working hard in regards to cardio sense. So because you're taking breaks in between, what you're trying to do is let your muscle kind of rest briefly and then go again, place another little stress on it, fatigue it more, rest, and go again. Well, obviously in these rest periods, you're not going to be probably puffing the same way you would when you're doing running or you're doing something more cardiovascular. And that's because they're completely different a lot of the time. We don't really want our weight training to be cardiovascular. They're probably not going to burn a large amount of calories, despite what your Fitbit and stuff says. I think there's a study that Luke Tulloch put up that on average, some people maybe, on average, the majority were burning, say, 200 calories to weight training workout. But again, our weight training workouts are not there to simply burn calories. Okay, they are there to maintain that muscle tone. Once we get a minimum amount of weight training in, which for the majority will probably be like 3 weight training sessions a week. Once we get a minimum threshold in, we've maintained our muscle. Everything outside that can be a little bit more about burning calories. In regards, you're going to get a hold on your nutrition. That will be putting you in a calorie deficit anyway. And then you may be focused on just increasing your steps throughout the day, or getting a hobby. That will be more about burning calories. But the weight training component it's not going to be like that. So I think a lot of people struggle when they get on a weight training thing is they're really motivated at the start, and they go in the gym and they're doing a set, and then they're resting and they're doing another set, and they go, fuck, I'm really motivated for my goal here, and what the fuck am I doing resting in between sets? I'm watching these YouTube videos and they're telling me to kill myself and to work hard and achieve your goals and no pain, no gain, and all these cringy other statements. But I suppose what I'm trying to do is just educate you on, no, that's not the goal of our weight training sessions. Okay, it is more about muscular fatigue, getting a quote unquote burn in your muscles, and when we fatigue our muscles, again, we're kind of breaking down the small muscle fibers, and that will send a signal to our body and brain to repair those muscles. So again, by the end goal, we're going to get toned. So we said kind of 3 weight training sessions per week will be the goal. And to give advice, we would probably say 10 to 15 sets per week per body part. Okay, what does that mean? Well, basically, at the end of the week, we probably want, and it's going to vary, I'm probably talking more beginners, intermediates here, 10-15 sets per body part. So if you think of like the front of your legs, your quads, we may do 3 sets on Monday of quads, of squats. Then on Wednesday we may do another quad movement, a leg press, and then on Friday we may do another 3 or 4 sets of walking lunges or split squats or something that's going to hit your quads. Okay, that alone will probably add up to 10 sets. Well, it does, 3, and 4. And again, if someone's really beginner, maybe even less. The same way if we look at the front of our upper body, our chest, like girls, relax, you're not going to get big chests or anything like that. Or you're not going to get bigger boobs from working your chest, which is a question I always get. But again, we want to focus on the whole body and make sure we're hitting everywhere. So if we look at our chest, the Monday you may do 3 or 4 sets of dumbbell chest press. On the Wednesday we may do 3 or 4 sets of incline chest press. And the Friday we may do 3 or 4 sets on push-ups. You're kind of just picking a variation for that muscle, and you may change it each day. You can keep the same exercises each day. Again, less important the more beginner you are. Okay, and you'll do the same for the back of your legs, hamstrings. So for example, on the Monday may just be a back extension. For the Monday back extension, Wednesday could be a Romanian deadlift, and then Friday may be a glute raise or a leg curl, or something like that. Okay, the same way with our back, we may do some kind of row variation on Monday. Then on Wednesday we may do like a lat pull down. Okay, and then on Friday we may do a TRX, another row variation, or a seated row or dumbbell row. There's loads of different kind of stuff. That is the really, really, really basic thing in regards to weight training. Okay, what I could also do with people, so breaking this individual workout down, where we're working, say for example we did a squats for quads on Monday, we can also pair that, so what's called a superset. So we may pair a squat movement with a chest press. Okay, so we'll do 3 or 4 sets of squats, goblet squats, barbell, again, whatever variation that your body currently allows. Then we may take a short break, 30 seconds, go do our dumbbell chest press, back over 30 seconds. And what this does, it gives people kind of the illusion that they're working harder, and they are, because they may fit more exercises into that. And it will still may work cardiovascular component, especially as someone starts to lift a little bit heavier. But at the start, especially girls, again, not being sexist, but they may not be able to currently lift a lot of weight if they're new to the gym. So they may recover so quick in between the sets that they don't feel like they're doing much. Just be aware of this, and just note that as you start to lift more, you will feel it more. Okay, which is why guys probably, if we look at calorie burn, guys probably burn a little bit more calories in regards to weight training, because they're a bit stronger and they can place a bit more stress on the body. Okay, that is a really basic overview with that. On the days in between, okay, so we might have a 3 weight training days. That may be all someone does, okay, especially if someone's very time poor, and they can use the rest of the time, as we said, to focus on a step goal, increasing their activity that way, and focus on the nutrition. So the nutrition and the steps as a way of burning more calories, taking less in, that will control your calorie intake. And the weight training is kind of separate as a way to maintain that muscle tone. When it comes to training, I always advise, if you can, go get assessed by someone, either physio or a very good trainer, and they can prescribe the appropriate exercises for you. I hate cookie cutter plans. Even with my online clients, I'll always have an assessment process. I'll send them videos to do. They'll film themselves doing this, send back to me, just to get a basic overview of what someone can do. If you're a beginner, don't focus on the wrist the high risk to rewards exercises, for example, barbell, squats, deadlifts. The confusion is these are very good exercises only when done correctly. Okay, when they're done poorly, the risk to reward is very high, so you can risk getting injured. Okay, because there's a lot of components that go into these advanced exercises, and whether it's flexibility, whether it's mobility, whether it's strength, whether it's technique, these exercises require all that. Okay, I've been doing squats for whatever 12, 13 years, and I'll still go and see someone smarter than me to train me, and they'll pick up on stuff. So in this case, think of low risk to reward exercises. For example, leg press or leg extensions or split squats or lunges. Again, where you can't really injure yourself. But if you can, as I said, go get assessed by someone that can give you the appropriate exercises to do. Because with weight training, we're obviously doing it from a goal where we can look better. But the other thing where people don't realize or may not realize, we're also doing it to keep our body injury free and to keep our body strong so we can perform well in life. We want to get strong enough where we can and pick our kids up or pick heavy stuff up without any risk of injury. Okay, that is the goal. So people will come in, and that's why I talk about assessments. Is you may have weak areas that you need to strengthen up first. So as well as losing fat, gaining muscle, you are doing these exercises to build your body up rather than break your body down and get injured, because nobody wants to lose fat and look better but end up with a slip disc or a fucking hernia or anything very serious. That can happen in the gym as well, because again, weight training is a tool, and when the tool is not used correctly, okay, that's when bad stuff happens. Like someone said, a hammer is very good for hitting a nail, but if you keep fucking hitting your hand, well, that's not good, okay? It doesn't have its use that way. So we want to look at weight training and also mobility, flexibility, that will compose a workout plan, and that will be in a sense to keep our body strong, injury-free, help perform well, healthy as we grow older, into older age. We don't want to go into the gym, wreck our joints, get injured, and even we might have lost fat, but we're more worse for wear after. And if we get injured, remember, what can't you do? Can't train. So you may put that weight back on as well. And this is why I have a problem, and a lot of people do, with traditional, say, like circuit training, group training, all this functional training where they're using weights and cardio together. Because cardiovascular is obviously anything that works your heart. When your heart rate gets up, you're getting more fatigued. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to perform the exercises you're supposed to be doing poorly. Which is why, ideally, if you're doing purely cardiovascular training, you will probably do it in a way that you're not going to get injured. So you may do it on like a rower or a sled or an assault bike where there's no technique required. They're very idiot-proof. So you can get your heart rate up, you can work your heart that way, work your fitness, and there's no risk of injury. Compare this to some forms of CrossFit, these group training, where they are in a fatigue manner, they are tired, and then they are trying to execute lifts that require a lot of technique, a lot of concentration, and they're doing them in a way poorly, which is only going to take the effectiveness off the exercise and the muscles being worked, but it's also going to increase your risk of injury, especially for more advanced exercises. And then what happens is you're performing this exercise poorly, your technique's gone out the window. What should happen is you should just stop, okay? Because if you keep performing that exercise poorly and a bad movement pattern, over time you're going to learn that bad movement pattern, and then it's going to be very hard to get out of that. Well, what happens? Mr. fucking Big Balls comes with his army boot camp and staunches over and says, keep going, you don't want it enough, keep training, go harder. So what happens? You become more fatigued and you begin to perform these exercises even worse. Okay, and then the icing on top, performing the most advanced exercises in regards to plyometrics, which is any jumping activities. The plyometrics were invented, again, a little tangent, were invented for power, like power output in sports. Okay, so I'm not going to get into mechanisms, but that's what they're there for. Russian sports scientist Verkhoshansky, I can never pronounce his name. He brought that in. Okay, they are to be performed in very low repetitions, 3 to 5, with very long rests in between, 3 to 4 to 5 minutes. Then somehow they got in and people started doing them in these group classes. So you'll see box jumps and you'll see jumping lunges. So now we've paired the most fatiguing thing going in regards to this group exercise with very, very risky exercises. And they're risky in the sense that when you jump and land, you're placing 6 to sometimes 9 times your body weight in force going through your joints. Okay, this may be even more if someone's out of shape, if someone's technique's bad, and then obviously if they're fatigued. So now what we're doing is we're massively increasing that person's risk of injury and wrecking the joints, the knees, ankles, and hips, which are already probably off already if someone's out of shape. So now we're combining them both, which is a brilliant combination for your worst enemy, but not for you trying to get in shape. So we need to separate these components ideally. We need to separate our weight training. Our weight training is there to maintain muscle or to build muscle. And even in saying that, people might say, look, Sean, I don't want to weight train, I don't want to get too big. If you look at what we're trying to achieve with fat loss, is we're trying, in nutrition terms, we're trying to get into a calorie deficit. So we're just trying to eat just below our requirements that will force our body to tap into those fat stores and use that for energy. Well, we can't build muscle if we don't have any resources. So if you're in a calorie deficit and you're weight training, relax, you're not going to build muscle in the majority of cases, because there's no essential nutrients there to build a muscle. However, if you're weight training and you're fucking pigging out on food every day, well, now you're in a calorie surplus. You're giving your body a lot of stuff to be able to build muscle. In regards to getting bigger, most people will probably just gain a lot of body fat, especially women. Women, it's very hard to gain muscle purely from the point that hormonally you're not set up that way. I think most women have the same amount of testosterone, the main muscle building hormone, which is what bodybuilders would take to build muscle. They have the same amount of testosterone as a pre-pubescent boy. Okay, now picture how muscular pre-pubescent boys are. Okay, exactly. So that's not to worry that way. So we need to separate weight training and give it the goal of maintaining muscle, and then we need to separate the cardiovascular component and use it in ways where we're not going to get injured, very stupid-proof ways. So if I'm doing a program where you want to hit all three, so you want, this may be a normal program Monday, Wednesday, Friday for someone. It could be 5-10 minutes mobility. Again, if you get a proper assessment, or you saw me up online, you'll get specific mobility things that you need. In most cases, not necessary to do hours of stretching, but you just need to focus on what stretches you need. For people that sit down a lot, the hip flexors normally get tight, their chest gets tight, so there may be some similar stretches in there. That may be 5-10 minutes mobility. The weight training component of your workout may be 30-35 minutes. Again, more advanced people maybe a little bit longer. And then if you want to finish off with a little bit more cardiovascular work or even some interval training, you may leave 10 minutes at the end of that after your weight training and do your cardiovascular stuff then. You may do that on a bike, as I said, sled, ropes, skier, assault bike. Think of all the stuff where you're stationary and you're not getting injured. There's no technique required. So then someone can come along and tell you to push harder because there's no risk of injury. So that's how they may do it. So that may be your Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then, as I said, in between, your steps and nutrition are on point. So I hope that covered things up. So what I want you to get your head around, and why I touch briefly on bodybuilders. Sorry, there's another tangent. Why I touch briefly on bodybuilders is someone who's trying to build muscle or lose fat. They will predominantly have the same weight training program. The program doesn't differ. So there's no such thing as like, here's your fat loss weight training program. Here's your muscle building weight training program. Both are going to look very, very, very similar, if not exactly the same, because all we're trying to do is place stress on the body, and your nutrition is going to dictate whether you're building muscle or whether you're losing fat. That's going to be the main thing. So don't buy into these like YouTube videos or Instagram videos where this is a fat burning workout. Okay, there's no such thing. You're either stimulating your body to maintain that muscle mass, or you're just burning calories. There's no fat burning exercise. This is a fat burning exercise. They're all little sound bites. They're just trying to drag you in. But hopefully, after listening to this, you have increased your bullshit detector to the way where you'll just keep scrolling. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Again, we will go more advanced into that, but that's kind of the basis of what you will need when you're looking at weight training, why we're doing it, losing fat, maintaining muscle, and looking sexier, regaining your confidence, health, and energy, which is what we're trying to do. Okay, episode 19 done. Give me your feedback. Let me know how it was. And do all the other stuff people tell you to do, but just do it on my one. Rate, review, because that is a big help. I'll be more than appreciative. I will talk to you in the next episode. We have some amazing guests being lined up, which I'm very, very excited about. So I will talk to you then.